Hello, welcome to The Banker. I am Silvia Pavoni, economics editor of The Magazine, and I am joined by my colleague Stefanie Linhardt, who is Europe editor.
Hi.
So, Stefanie, Brexit has really added a heavy layer of complexity and challenges onto the European banking market, which already had quite a lot on its plate, from bad results across the region to failed stress tests. But the worst hit were the UK banks.
Yes, I mean, the UK banks have seen the biggest impact, especially on the day after the referendum. The biggest banks, Lloyds, Barclays, initially dropped about 30% in their share price, and then by the end of the day recovered a little bit, but not by very much. I mean, Lloyds still was down 21% and Barclays about 18%. So obviously heavy hits in one day.
And we are now seeing concerns about exposure of certain banks such as Lloyds and RBS to the commercial property market, which may sadly also cause problems for them. So this is the UK. Bad results also in Germany.
Bad results also in Germany. The bigger banks, again, obviously significantly impacted. Commerzbank saw a drop in the share price, but the biggest problem is Deutsche Bank. Deutsche Bank already had bad results last year. So in the 2015 fiscal year, Deutsche Bank had a massive loss, and this coupled with also a failed stress test in the US, one of only two banks who failed a stress test, did have an additional layer of problems for Deutsche Bank. And this added to the Brexit vote.
That's right. So we've also seen George Soros betting against the bank the day after the referendum, thinking that presumably the current situation would not certainly help the German lender.
There's talks that Deutsche Bank has to raise the capital now.
And of course, and we have seen from our own data collection exercise that is published in the form of the top 1,000 World Banks ranking in our July edition, that overall Western European banks have shrunk the aggregate level of tier 1 capital. So certainly a difficult position for them.
And Deutsche Bank was one of the worst ones in that ranking.
Already. So the data obviously refers to the end of the financial year 2015. Now, moving a little bit further down in Europe, what about Italy?
Italy, again, one of the countries that there was already a bit of a concern about. Italy has this huge level of NPLs, non-performing loans. Some people call it 360 billion. Other measures see it smaller, but the level is very large.
It's very large, and we have seen the Atlante Fund being created, also called the Bad Bank.
Exactly.
In Italy. So I know you've looked at that setup very closely.
Yes. So in the July edition, again, we have written about the Italian NPL problem, and mentioned Atlante as one of the ways of trying to solve the big NPL issue. However, the Atlante Fund is not actually very big, and it has already helped some Italian banks, but not in the form of NPL purchases, but in actually helping the capital base. Now, in how far Atlante is actually the be-all and end-all, it probably isn't. So there have to be a lot of different additional ways used to help this NPL issue in Italy.
So Atlante was created with the backing and support of the government, but the government as yet is not providing any capital. I'm saying as yet because there may be talks of this happening in the future.
Exactly.
Right?
Well, there is talk of the government trying to surpass the EU state guarantee rules that don't allow the state to support the banking sector, because there is now the problem seems to have just grown significantly more since Brexit.
So again, very difficult situation for Europe. It was difficult before Brexit. With Brexit, we are possibly certain to see a deterioration, at least in the very short term, in the next few months. Would you agree?
Yeah, certainly.
And so we will keep on monitoring the situation in the months to come. Thank you so much, Stephanie.
Thank you.